welcome you to Power Rankings, presented by the long-lasting power of Energizer. Still going. That's right. And he is the old Zeuser, the author of Power Rankings at NFL.com, taking a break. The entrepreneurial spirit of the Zeuser and his one-button push. Auto setup, auto takedown, slip and slide. To be here with us to talk about 1 through 32. And Dan, as we always do.
That just sounded like a bunch of words. I don't know what just happened. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Look, you're a man of many talents.
It's a word salad.
One of those talents, Zeuser, is putting together lists like this. We start with 1 through 8. We have a new number 1, and that's a big jump. Look, you get inside the top 5, and you go 3 to 1. Let me tell you something. You go 4 to 1, I should say, up 3 spots. You're making news. The AP may grab a hold of this and put it up on the wire. It's such a dramatic move. But not surprising, Dan. The Rams didn't just beat the Buccaneers, the defending champs who were number 1. They really handed it to them.
Yeah, it was an easy decision. This is not one that I struggled with, and I like it when it's that way, especially when it comes to if you're going to move the defending champs out from number 1 for the first time. To do it after a Sunday where the defending champs get whipped by a Rams team that's just rising. It just feels like it's all there. And we spend, and you do the same thing, you have your radio show money and when your NFL Network stuff, like when we go through the summer, we talk about the season to come. We get so tied up and there's so much hot air about these ideas of what's to come in the year, and then none of that ever pans out.
Right.
But with the Rams and Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, all that talk has been justified because he's just the perfect fit for this offense. Stafford has been killing it, and Cooper Kupp obviously is a guy that sticks out as an all-pro type talent, but Tyler Higbee, you have Van Jefferson, and yes, Deshaun Jackson. I don't know how long it's going to last, money. I don't know if Deshaun Jackson is going to be making impact plays with those legs beyond September, but it's always fun to enjoy it while it's here,
Sure.
and he takes the top off that defense.
Look, Cooper Kupp, this isn't exaggeration. He's the best receiver in the NFL through 3 weeks, and he is on a pace to set records that Randy Moss currently holds. That's how good this connection has been between Stafford and Cooper. Not kidding. Leads the league in touchdowns. Leads the league in yards. There is something special going on there. We can just do the name soup, right, of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson and Deshaun Jackson. But let's talk about the defense, and that's the difference. That's how you get to number 1, right? Because it's not just Matthew Stafford and that Sean McVay offense, and now a guy that he has to trust to make all the plays, but it's the best player in football, and Aaron Donald. And a front, and look, Kenny Young has been fantastic, as well as his running mate. Don't forget, Floyd is there on the opposite side, or on one of the edges, I should say. So you got a front that's nasty, and then you got a back end that's got the best defensive back in football. So you have the best defensive player, the best defensive back. Whatever issue you may have with an opposing team's offense, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey can fix it immediately. It's a balanced team.
And you have to give credit also to Sean McVay because we talked about, another thing we talked about going into the season, Shane Waldron, he goes up to Seattle. Brandon Staley, he goes to L.A. to coach the Chargers. And you think, oh, man, that's a vacuum of talented coaching going off the board. Well, McVay's one of those coaches. I think he just has so many good relationships and great instincts that clearly he's getting good people in that building as well. It's just, I think the entire Rams organization is just humming right now.
Yeah.
And that's why they're the number 1 team right now.
I would just button it with this. You know, when Cam Akers went down, many people said, look, this is an offense that runs off of outside zone. That's what sets up everything. And Sean McVay, look, he gets a lot of credit. And clearly he gets a lot of credit because so many of his assistants are hired from underneath him. But he immediately adjusted. He said, okay, if there's no Cam Akers and we're not going to run everything off of outside zone in that run game, we're just going to throw it all over the place. And we don't need play action, and we don't need a running game. I've got Matthew Stafford and all of this talent, and we are going to start, just really beating people up. And that's what they did to those Buccaneers. That's why they are number 1. Let's go to the top team in the AFC. So as it stands right now, after 3 weeks, you would have a Rams-Bills Super Bowl according to your power rankings. What did you see from the Bills that had you move them up to number 4?
I think for the second straight week, their defense did major damage, okay? And now you have an offense, then Bills fans aren't going to admit it, but a little bit of an exhale because Josh Allen didn't look dominant at all in the first 2 weeks of the season, and you just gave him that massive contract. You're like, is everything okay here? Yes, everything is okay. I loved the way Allen played it in this game in Orchard Park where the winds were gusting, and he's just ripping through spirals through the gusts like Joe Namath at Shea Stadium in the early 70s. He's just such a special talent. So 4 touchdowns, passing, 1 rushing. And when you have this offense getting to this level with a defense that punishes middling teams on offense like the Washington football team, they're just going to stack wins. This is a 13-win team.
And that's where I'll go again. You did offense with the Rams. I did defense. I'm going to do defense again with the Bills. And here is a name to remember because he kind of got lost in the shuffle last year. He wasn't quite as productive as they had hoped. A.J. Epinesa is a machine. This defensive line has depth, and I think you forget how great a coach Sean McDermott is on the defensive side of the ball. And, look, you have Jerry Hughes and Ed Oliver and all of these first-round picks out there. Epinesa shaved, I think, probably somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds off his body, and he is flying all over the place. I love the drafting of Boogie Basham, of Rousseau. So now they're coming at you in waves. I mean, look what they did to the Dolphins last week, to the Washington football team this week. And I think that's also helped that offense, right? When you have a defense that's creating turnovers, that's getting these big negative plays and getting teams off schedule, you're getting the ball in more favorable positions on the field. It's really, like you said, I think it's a great way to put it, an exhale. Like, hey, yeah, the accuracy wasn't there in the first week. Lost to the Steelers. It was a weird game. All is well. This team looks like they are exactly where we thought they were and we'll get to that a little bit later, when the season started.
Matt Milano, another guy. They just have so many great playmakers on both sides of the ball. You want to talk about organizations that are humming. Buffalo, another organization that's in a great spot, drafting, coaching, players.
I thought you were going to play the name game with me. Like, you say Matt Milano, and I go, Tre'Davious White. And then you would say, like, Starlo Tulele. And then,
It's like I quickly run out. It's Andre Reed.
Mike High. All right, back to the inside. So those are the bookends, 1 and 4. Let's go to 2 and 3. So you have the Packers at 3, and you just dropped the Bucs 1 spot after their loss to the Rams.
Are you asking me that question?
I'm not. I think I'm with you. I'm with you on this one. I do think the Bucs, were they to face off, I would take the Bucs in that game.
The Bucs obviously are having some issues early on defense, but they're proven, and we know.
And they're banged up.
They're banged up. They're proven. Todd Bowles is still there. Bruce Arians is still there. I think they're going to get things together, just like they did last year. When the Bucs became unstoppable in 2020 and through the playoffs, it's because they had both sides of the ball working. It's only one side working right now, but they're still the Bucs, and they deserve the respect of, okay, you lose a game, I'm not going to drop you behind the Packers, who, although I really like what the Packers did in the second half against Detroit, and excellent job stealing that game back from the Niners on Sunday night after the Niners almost steal it from you. That's a gutsy, like, yeah, we're the real deal type win there. That week 1 disaster against the Saints.
Sure.
It's still in the back of my mind to the point where I'm not ready to put them ahead of the Bucs, but they are kind of back where they should be. That's where they started the season. They're a top 3 team, and they'll probably stay there.
It's sort of hard to reconcile that win, right? Because it was so improbable that they're able to get Mason Crosby in field goal range in 32 seconds. So you have that, right? This is a team that very easily could be 1 and 2 based on that performance against San Francisco. But it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Devontae Adams. And I think after a disastrous week 1, they reminded us that this is one of the great connections, one of the dominant passers to pass catchers in the NFL, that no matter how you game plan for it, you're probably not going to be able to slow it down and certainly not able to stop it. So, and I think that's where look, this is a tough job, people. You want to take shots at the old Zeuser here. He doesn't need me sticking up for him, but I'm gonna.
I appreciate it.
Not easy to figure out where to slot a team like Green Bay that very well could have been 1 and 2 today were it not for a magical 32 seconds. And you know what? Isn't football romantic?
I was going to say the same thing.
Isn't it, Michelle?
How can you not be romantic about football, Aaron Rodgers said.
9 through 16. Well, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 3-0 teams in the second quadrant behind a squad that is 1 and 2. In particular, the 3 teams in the Chiefs division that are ranked behind them. They are the last place team in their division, and you have them ranked first of the 4 participants in the AFC West. Explain yourself,
and I don't feel.
Explain yourself.
I have no problem explaining myself. Because
you know what that ranking is? It's a circus. Put a tent on it.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback.
Oh, okay. He threw 2 interceptions.
And who cares?
What do you mean, who cares?
Because it's early in the season. The first interception wasn't even his fault. The second
wasn't? How about don't throw a no-look pass to a guy that's never caught a pass
listen
before?
Listen to you, hotshot.
Watch this.
Taking out
what are
Patrick
you doing?
Mahomes to the woodshed.
The guy is wide open. What
That's
are you doing?
Catch the ball. The second one, he's trying to make
Behind
things
him.
happen late. And this is all not characteristic of what the Chiefs are. This is the second Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble in 2 weeks. He had never fumbled before. Before that, Mahomes is very rarely going to have a multi-interception game. I think some funky stuff's happening with this offense.
Look at that off the back foot, floated up there.
And, I mean, it shocks you when you see a bad throw from Mahomes because it just never happens. But the defense is the thing that's got to get better, and they just have to execute on offense in big spots, which they haven't the last 2 weeks, which is strange, but not something that I see as a long-term problem. The Chiefs are going to be fine. I worry about Andy Reid, who went to the hospital on Sunday night. If he were to miss time, that would be a major red alarm for me for the Chiefs.
You are not going to put that on me.
And
you are not going to put that on me saying,
money,
hey, I hope Andy Reid is healthy. Now go ahead and attack the Chiefs.
For you, money, to take shots at the Chiefs, and Andy Reid is in his state right now. That's who he is.
Unbelievable.
And that's who I am.
Yeah, you know what?
Good
okay,
person,
fine.
bad person.
I'm a bad guy. And this bad guy right now is going to say, this is insane. This is a team whose defense is one of the worst. And look, when Frank Clark gets healthy, we can have another discussion. But right now, he's not, and that defense is not creating enough pressure. They're shading help to the side wherever they try to move Chris Jones. The Chargers were able to shift help in his direction, and they didn't have any issues with anyone else on that defensive line. And Herbert had years to throw the ball. It's why he ended up with a passer rating, sniffing 134 touchdowns, no interceptions. They had no answer for Mike Williams. And Brandon Staley told us before the game, I believe, and look, was there a little arrogance to it? Maybe. He said, I believe we have a plan. We believe in our plan and the way we're going to play team defense against Patrick Mahomes to slow this thing down. And you know what it was? You're not going to have explosive plays. You're not going to have 3-play, 50-second touchdown drives. We will keep everything in front of us. You want to run for 6.5 yards per carry? Go ahead. Sooner or later, you're going to make a mistake. And I'll just add this finally. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled in back-to-back weeks. That's going to be an issue. That's what they call the book is out. And Tavon Campbell, and every time Clyde Edwards-Helaire touched the ball, you see it. There are arms coming in and punching. They may have found something, and you're going to see a lot more of that moving forward.
I know you're on the Chargers payroll. You're the voice of the Chargers.
Literally.
But let's just also keep in mind.
You know what? Let's just move off the
Chargers. The
Chargers
caught the Chiefs at the perfect time. I love the Chargers. I respect the Chargers.
Let's move off the Chargers.
They're at number 10.
Let's move off the Chargers. Let's go to number 9. How do you have the Raiders?
The Raiders have.
Are you kidding me? How are the Raiders behind the Chiefs? The Raiders should be the number 1 team in the AFC West right now. It's not like they knocked off the Ravens. Come on.
I know. Well, you can certainly say it's not the power standings.
Where do you have the Ravens ranked?
Let me check my.
You don't have to check. They're in the top 5.
They're number 5.
Exactly. And the Raiders beat them, and you've got them at 9?
Because I think the Ravens. The Ravens are totally fine. That's why I have where they are. They're going to be fine. You're way too reactionary right now.
What's wrong with the Raiders? Share with me what's wrong with the Raiders.
Let me tell you what's wrong with the Raiders right now. Their defense isn't where it needs to be.
What? They have the best pass rush in the league. They have the best get-off in the league right now with Ngakoue and with Max Crosby.
I thought you said Ravens. Ravens.
Sorry.
Calm down. You're a little all over the place right now.
Out, man.
So just calm down a little bit. I love the Raiders. I love what they're doing on defense. That's why they're a top 10 team right now. And Derek Carr is a guy in the MVP race. Being number 9 in the power rankings after week 3, Matt Money Smith, is a very good place to be if you're the Raiders. You don't need to be in a rush to be number 1.
Raider Nation right here.
Whoa.
This guy, number 9, not even in the top 8.
Fired up,
Can you believe it? Hey, it's week 3. Things are starting to come into focus, Dan. That's what we're talking about. Coming up next, we got a pair of fantasy finds. And look, one of these two may be streamable. So we're going to tell you how to get to the waiver wire before your fantasy week starts. And also, after a dominant victory on Monday Night Football, you think I'm fired up. Wait till our next guest comes on to ask you what the heck the Zeuser is thinking when it comes to the Cowboys.
Let's get the tranquilizer dart out here.
They're going to give it to Elliott, pushing at the goal line. Pushing, touchdown, Dallas.
It's a fumble, and it's recovered by Fletcher Cox for a touchdown.
Time to go deep. He's got him in at the goal line. Walk in for Schultz. Touchdown, Cowboys. Hand off Elliott. Bang! To the goal line. Touchdown. Intercepted by Diggs. Right sideline 30. Diggs 20. And a touchdown. Standing, rolling right. Points, running, points, pumps, end zone, back of the end zone, touchdown. Schultz made a move to the 5, to the goal line. The touchdown machine. Dalton Schultz erupts again. Those swivel hits went nuts.
Well, they are atop the NFC East after knocking off the Eagles. You see the 2 spots slip there at number 22. This is our third of 4 quadrants, 17 through 24, and certainly some interesting teams in there that we're going to get to. How about those Seahawks and Steelers at 1 and 2? But it is time for Power Moves presented by Energizer. She is our math magician. She is the dean of deduction, the premier predictive analyst in all the land. And she's even got the graphs and the Fibonacci sequence behind her to prove it, just in case you forget.
And the Steve Jobs sweater. The whole thing is cooking right now.
I was thinking somebody else that's embattled right now, so I'll go ahead and just cruise right by that. But let's bring her in. It's Cynthia Freeland here on Power Moves to take on some of your designations. Dan, Cynthia, we just saw the Cowboys. You got a problem with where Dan's got them.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at the Cowboys and I'm looking at number 14, and then I'm trying to reconcile what I saw last night, and then when I try to figure out, okay, look at their upcoming schedule and where they're going to land. 14, what? We need to pump this up. They're a for sure playoff team. Like it's going to be very hard for them to not make the playoffs given their division, given the fact that they've got Dak doing Dak crazy things like good Dak from last year. And then, of course, we saw Ezekiel Elliott do well. And then I think the bigger surprise about the Cowboys is really that their defense, especially rookie Micah Parsons, has like completely stepped up, brought this pressure, made everything just completely different on the other side of the ball. So to complement that really nice offense, they now have a defense. So they're not going to need as much from Dak in every single game. So explain yourself.
All right. Well, first of all, I don't appreciate you coming on your show, on our show, and challenging me week after week. But I do love you, so I will.
I
almost did. I wanted to, but that wouldn't be right. But your instincts, Cynthia, are right, because really the Cowboys to me might be closer to a number 11 team, but there's this issue that I have,
which is
these Panthers and these Broncos, and they're undefeated and they're playing bad teams, and I didn't know where to put them, so I stuck them at 12 and 13, and maybe that hurts the Cowboys. But I really do like where Dallas is going. They are clearly the best team in that division. I think Money had the Eagles at the beginning of the year. I had Washington. We're both wrong. The Cowboys are clearly the class of this division. So you're on to something there, Cynthia. I'll grant you that. I don't like you challenging me, but I respect you.
And I will acknowledge, Cynthia, your acknowledgement of Micah Parsons. But I believe the key to that defense, Trayvon Diggs, wildly underrated. The back end is now connected to the front end, and that is why you're seeing that's a beautiful pick. I know Devontae Smith fell down, but the break that Diggs made on that ball, and if you go back to last week, the interception he had against Keenan Allen, the break he made on that ball, look, it was a mess of a defense last year for the Cowboys, and I think, unfortunately, Diggs got kind of put into that, and people didn't realize how good he was his rookie year because the defense was so bad, and I think now they're getting a healthy dose of Trayvon Diggs and being reminded this could be one of the best corners in the league, and that makes a huge difference.
That Diggs bloodline is pretty good.
Right? Talk about a family that's got hands. Yeah. What a quality for NFL football players. All right, what else we got here, Cynthia? What else do you not like on Dan's show?
Well, okay, Dan's show. Well, let's look at the Patriots situation here. And much like Elizabeth Holmes, who's exactly who Money was trying to say.
I was gonna leave that for those that knew. I didn't want to put it out there on Front Street, but okay.
I have no idea what's happening right now. Go ahead.
Don't worry about it. She lied about blood. It's very, very different. It's a different fraud. But ultimately, I think that it's fraudulent to put the Patriots at number 23. I think that they are also a playoff team. Speaking about teams with good corners, you got to talk about the Patriots when you talk about great corners. And you also have to figure out, okay, well, they're in a situation where their corners, their defense is really, really good. And they have a quarterback who I know it didn't look so great necessarily last week, but ultimately he's going to get better every single time. He's a rookie. He's played really, really well. You have to see, okay, where is the improvement coming? I think the Patriots are a wild card team, so it can't be a wild card team. And number 23, it just doesn't work out like that.
All right, well, I don't think they're a wild card team, one. I might have thought that in August, but now getting to see them, I'm not feeling so hot about them. They have 2 home losses already. I don't think they looked good at all against the Saints. I thought they really were dominated in that game. Their one win is against the Jets in week 2, who are the worst team in football right now. And even that game, if you watched it closely, not saying you didn't, Cynthia, but if you watched that game closely.
Sounds like you're intimating that.
They didn't even look that good in that game. So I think the Patriots, it's still a little bit jarring, but they're just not special to me right now. And maybe 23 is a little harsh, but I think this is a team that's in that 18 to 23 range all season. That's kind of just how I see them.
I will just quickly put a button on it by saying, and I'm going to do it in a lower register, which is what you should have done, Cynthia, if you were going to make
I tried. I thought about it, but I didn't want that on film.
Because it conveys power. But I will quickly point out, the AFC is stacked. And that's where I'm all right with this ranking with Dan. It is so much deeper than the NFC right now to me. And I think at 1 and 2 with a rookie quarterback that has struggled a little bit here, I'm totally fine with them not being a playoff team. Right? I mean, you can make a case that you could have 4 AFC West teams in the playoffs, and they're going to take all 3 of the wild card spots with the way that division is playing out right now. But Cynthia, we go from the team to the individual, and your fantasy focus for this week here. What do we got?
Okay, I've got Zach Moss against the Texans. This guy leads the team in touches and targets for running back, and they're playing the Texans defense, which has been suspect. Jared Cook, I'm pretty sure Money knows him pretty well, but he likes the end zone. Marquez Callaway, who had a 25% target share last game. He gets the Giants. And then I got a couple of Bengals right at the top of this list. You want to play Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, by the way, who's just doing some crazy rookie things with deep passes against the Jags defense, which, again, has been a little suspect as well. And that's a Thursday night. Kiss in the ring here.
There we go. Love it.
There you go. And you gotta love Cincinnati in that spot on Thursday. Love those picks. The Jared Cook one, Cynthia, it's a thing. Like, we've been talking of Jared Cook doing special things for so long on these type of shows that I'm at Jared Cook burnout. I know he has the ability to be a playmaker and deliver you a fantasy win, potentially, but also I could see a 3 for 31 with 2 big drops as well.
Look.
Fair enough.
I think my issue with Jared Cook from a fantasy standpoint is there is this love affair between Justin Herbert and Mike Williams, understandably, in the red zone. And I think that's where we thought a lot of that Jared Cook production was going to come from. And from right now, I would just be a little worried about it because, man, Herbert is, and understandably so, he is so into Mike Williams right now. But I love the stack. I love the Bengals stack, Cynthia, not only because we're pushing the shield. We're pushing Thursday Night Football and Bengals. And your fancy recipes, your healthy recipes. And, oh, look, it's not a burger. It's a portobello burger, so it's healthy for you. All that stuff that you're doing. Oh, and it's not meatballs. It's tofu balls. Check out Cynthia's Instagram and Twitter for what you're supposed to be making on Thursday night while I'm busy stuffing my face with ribs and pizza. But I love the stack. You know, the Bengals were at a tipping point. They could have taken Penei Sewell. They could have taken Rashawn Slater. And look, they still need help on the offensive line. Burrow's taken way too many hits. But they took Jamar Chase, and now you're seeing why. He's able to get that ball out quick, and Jamar's able to produce on those short routes and get a lot after the catch. So love that stack. I think it's going to be wildly profitable on Thursday night, putting you into Sunday in your fantasy
Cynthia,
matchups.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Come on, Cynthia. Listen, it's a pleasure to be included on your show.
Now give it to me. Give me the Holmes. Can you do it? Come on, give it to me. Give it to me.
Have a great day, and make sure to get your blood tested.
There we go. Love it. Cynthia Freeland. Check it all out at NFL.com/Freeland. Just ahead, a couple former MVPs making a mess of the last couple weeks. We'll get into what's wounding Wilson and biting Big Ben next. Power Rankings presented by Energizer reminds you Thursday Night Football is only on NFL Network. A battle between number one picks, Trevor Lawrence versus Joe Burrow. Jaguars, Bengals. Week 4 starts here. Thursday Night Football, Thursday at 8 on NFL Network and streaming on the NFL app. A look at the bottom quadrant. So sad. Falcons, dark down here, lead the way, and the Falcons able to knock off the Giants, who are now 0-3. We'll get to that a little bit later.
It's like the bottom of the ocean where the sunlight just doesn't even reach that far.
Some interesting things down there, by the way. You know, the advancements of technology. All right, from our final quadrant, we get to our dear friends, David and Willie, who I hear are in your camp when it comes to the top of the AFC West.
Best friends.
Thanks, Money. All right, David, the latest power rankings are out. And what stood out to me this week, of course, is the elephant in the room is the Chiefs.
Yes.
The Kansas City Chiefs. And they've dropped 2 games in a row. A lot of turnovers in 2 games. A lot of people are talking about Pat Mahomes is careless with the football. Clyde Edwards, hilarious, fumbling the ball. The defense isn't playing great. And I tell everybody, relax, okay?
Yes.
It's week 3 going into week 4. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a really good coached football team. But I do agree, they do have to start taking care of the football a little bit better. And because you have superior arm talent in Pat Mahomes, and he's made so many of these spectacular and great throws across his body, no-look throws and all that, sometimes you get a little used to it and accustomed to doing that. Yep. But understanding when you got guys wide open, that isn't always necessary. So I'm not overly concerned. This is a good football team. I know how they bounced back before. They'll look at their mistakes, they'll take care of the football better, and they'll get back on track. And with all that said, with all the mistakes and all the bad football, it's come down to last plays for the Chiefs. A Hail Mary and losing by 1 point. So I'm not overly concerned.
Well, I think that's the point is, like, all these things have gone bad and the turnovers have happened, and it has come down to the last play. And the guys have had to play out of their minds to even keep up with them and find a way to beat them. And, yeah, they're sitting in the last place in the AFC West. Who cares? It's the Chiefs. And the reason that they make, you know, some of these bad plays is the very reason why they're in every game that they're ever in is because the power of Patrick Mahomes and his right arm, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and those guys. I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all. I am worried about them from a Raiders standpoint, as my little brother would be, but I'm not worried about them at all.
They're undefeated. You're all right.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to be just fine. The team that I look at are the Minnesota Vikings. Sometimes early in the year you can get caught up, and you always get caught up, and Bill Parcells even said, you are what your record says you are. But I think that when you look at the situation the Vikings are in, they beat a good Seattle Seahawks team.
Yes, they did.
And Kirk Cousins played really good. Defense, that young defense is starting to figure it out with some pressure. You know, but you look at kind of their losses. You know, they missed a field goal at the end of the game to lose 1. They had a fumble by Dalvin Cook. You know, they've lost those 2 games by a total of 4 points to some good teams. The Bengals are going to be pretty good, and the Cardinals are a pretty good team. Seattle, we know, is a good team. Minnesota took care of them to keep themselves from going 0-3. So for me, you know, I think that the Minnesota Vikings are trending upwards, obviously with the win, but they need to start creeping into people's mindsets as an actual good football team with an experienced quarterback and some playmakers on the outside with some defense that can kind of get after you. So for me, watch out for the Vikings.
And what was so impressive about that win from the Minnesota Vikings, no Dalvin Cook.
That's right.
A lot of people say without Dalvin Cook, they can't win football games. And all they did was win that game. All right, we'll see how this all shakes out. Don't forget to catch us weekdays on Total Access. HanZzus and Money, back to you.
There it is. And Willie and David, they played the game. You never played the game.
What are you talking about?
Don't ask about me whether I played the game. You never played the game. They sided with me. That's a W.
You're still on the Chiefs.
The old Zeus.
I don't know why you're talking about old stuff. The last thing they did.
Panicking about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let me, you know, I don't want to do this right here in front of everybody, but just real quick, like the way TV works is, what you want to do is you want to address the last thing that was said in the segment.
Look at you hitting out now.
It's the Vikings. You know, like they threw to us on the Vikings, so we're supposed to talk about the Vikings. That's the way this works.
I had a score to settle.
That's called flow in the show.
I had a score to settle. I love the Vikings. They're by far the best 1 and 2 team, not named the Chiefs. Gotcha.
See,
you
well done.
You almost had me there. But I really do.
Up.
What you saw in Minnesota, first of all, that is a great home field advantage.
It is.
People
US
sleep
Bank,
on
That's
US Bank. That place is loud as hell. And when the offense is humming like it was, all you hear for 3.5 straight hours is that Viking horn. And it has to be disorienting to a defense, and it certainly was to the Seattle Seahawks, who could not get a stop. Kirk Cousins is playing at the highest levels of his career. And hey, listen, nobody likes to celebrate that money. everybody likes to have their fun with Kirk Cousins, and sometimes he can be annoying with some of the things you read about.
Hey, I'm an easy target. Go ahead, take your shots.
He is really, when he's locked in, and he is as locked in as he's ever been, he is a really good quarterback. And the fact that you don't have Dalvin Cook in that game, Alexander Madison steps in and lights up the Seattle Seahawks for the second time.
Right.
Really good stuff from them.
Look, I think it's always important to acknowledge the past. And you may remember last week the Vikings were my relaxed team. Remember that, Dan? Because I do. I remember that I was the one that said, hey, Vikings fans, you're 0-2.
This show's just a series of score settling.
Like, hey,
that's it.
Way to go. Way to go. And here's the thing about the Vikings, and this is what we were saying, truly, just to kind of put it into context, think about the division. The Packers very well could have been 1-2 today were it not for that remarkable 32 seconds that got them the win. And the Vikings would be tied for first place. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have a lot of confidence in the Lions or the Bears. So this is a team in a division where they still have a very legitimate shot to punch their ticket into the postseason because of their surroundings. And that's so important when it comes to whether or not you should be freaking out about what your team's early season record is. Conversely, the Seahawks are inarguably, and maybe it's not arguably, the best division in the NFL, and they're 1-2. That's cause for concern.
Concerned about the Seahawks. Really am. And there's a weird thing going on their offense where they're lighting it up in the first half, doing nothing in the second half. But you figure they'll get that straightened out because they're still Russell Wilson's prominently involved. The defense, it's not that simple.
Mess.
I don't know. On Sunday, they couldn't rush the quarterback. Look, Kirk Cousins just sitting back there. They could not get off the field on third down. They couldn't stop the run. Chunk play after chunk play after chunk play. And I don't know. Obviously, this isn't the Legion of Boom anymore. We're a long way away from that. But they need to get to a level of respectability to let the offense carry them to W's. And right now, neither side is where they need to be. And that's why they're 1-2.
Yeah, look, I don't have much to add to that other than you see the number at the bottom of the screen, 450 total yards, 30-plus points. And just think about the explosive offenses in the division that they play in. And that's kind of where my issue comes in. You bet. And look, I believe in Pete. He's going to figure it out, whatever it is. I'm not crazy. I know your partner on Around the NFL, Greg Rosenthal, believes in this defensive line. He's always talking about how it's a no-name group, but they have waves of guys. I don't buy into that. I think eventually,
you got to perform.
Yeah, you have to perform, and that's where elite players come in, and they just don't have one right now. They're still trying to find it. But I believe in the coach. I believe in what he's able to do when he coaches up defense, specifically the defensive back. So maybe they'll get it figured out. But right now, man, that's the wrong division to stumble out of the gate against two teams that you thought should have gone in the W column. Let's wrap it up. A lot of people were excited about the Steelers after week one, beating the Bills, and, man, they have been miserable since.
I'm even more nervous about the Steelers. And I think one thing that jumps out to me on the defensive side of the ball, because you could talk about either side, T.J. Watt out with a groin injury against a Cincinnati offensive line that went into week 3 having allowed the second most sacks in the league. And for the first time in 76 games, the Steelers don't have a sack. So right. T.J. Watt, we know he's a vital piece, but he's that important to them, and that's just the beginning of their issues.
Well, the other side of the ball that's a huge issue, no question. T.J. Watt changes everything on that defense because offenses have to account for him, and that allows so many other things to open up for other players to make huge plays, particularly the Minkah Fitzpatrick's. But the problem is that offensive line. And look, when the draft was here, so much was made about their decision to take Najee Harris in the first round instead of addressing that offensive line. And you are now seeing, look, you made your bed, and now Big Ben has got to sleep in it. And he is under pressure. I believe as they are currently situated, they're the worst team in the AFC North. That they are, the Bengals manhandled them. That pass rush manhandled Ben. Ben does not, I'm trying to think of how I can put this. Just doesn't look like he should be starting football games right now.
He's not at this stage, and it's no sin. He's 39 years old. He's been in the league for 18 or 19 years. He's maybe not a special quarterback anymore. So you need everything to be built out around him. Yeah. And I think maybe the Steelers underestimated how much help they needed.
I hate saying it. I want Ben to, look, it never ends well. Almost everybody does not have it end the way they want in this particular sport, except for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
All right. So there we have it. Willie and David agree with Dan. Up next, the trio of teams that we tried to tell you to dig on or ditch, but did you listen? No. Your face and your brain were buried in that darn smartphone of yours, so we got to remind you again. Next.
That's a great day for football today. Let's have fun today, man. We got to protect this house, man. Every opportunity is a blessing, dog.
Be the champs, you got to beat the champs.
Yes, bro. Let's go, man. You was fast. You're not going to play with us today, boy. Oh, we back here. That's how you start the corner up, baby. That's you. Keep it up. Yeah! Turnovers, baby. Turnovers. Let's go!
That's the excitement, you and me, every 8 a.m. production meeting.
That's right.
Zoom. It's just, you wouldn't even believe the energy.
Hey, you want to talk about pulling ratings on Mic'd Up? Our production meeting and what we got going. You can see the fireworks. All right. One of the things that we appreciate more than most is the ability to tell you, look, this is obvious. And if your football brains were able to process the information put in front of you, you would know everything that we're about to say. But we're here to help guide you along.
The Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. The Bears are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
We have some props here, and I think I'm going to make a push for just a wooden box.
Yeah.
I need something to
Bang, you need a
just
lectern.
get that real quick. And that, by the way, shows you the power in the arm of Denny Green, because that lectern moved, the mic shook. And he's making a point. And Dan, we are here to do They Are Who We Thought They Were. And you are going to start us off with?
Denny Green was a man. Also a man, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. These were big-time performances for the Titans. And, you know, I have them move up. For this, the conceit of the seg, I like to stick with teams that I had at a place one week, and then the next week they're in the similar spot. because I feel the same. And what I feel about the Titans is they are a team that they can lose players, and they did in this game. A.J. Brown went out with the hamstring. Julio Jones, curiously, on the sideline at the end in the fourth quarter, and I'm not sure what's going on there. But you still had Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, and they took it home against a desperate Colts team. Those guys are just both studs, and they've been carrying them for 3 years now. Now, carrying the Cleveland Browns
is
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Different
and I know maybe you could have put Myles Garrett's grandfather behind in front of that offensive line of the Bears on Sunday, and he would have had 4.5 sacks. But
it's a bad O-line.
In general, the seeing what Cleveland has when their defense is clicking, especially when they're playing in their building, I have them at 8. I've had them at 8 for about a month and a half now. So I see them making a move. We're just waiting for it to happen, and I need them to see them do it against a big-time opponent, and their schedule is tightening up now. But I really like the defense, and Baker has the offense playing solid, and the running game is awesome. What about you?
Look, we said it, I think, at the start of the season. It might be top to bottom the best roster in the league, and a game like that reminds you of how talented they are. Clowney has been fantastic paired up with Myles Garrett. What I have, let him off the hook, is the Dolphins' offensive line. And this is when they drafted Jalen Waddle, this was something that we brought up, right? You got these two tackles right in front of you, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater. And you had a leaky offensive line last year with Austin Jackson, and he's still leaking. 16 pressures, 12 hurries. Jesse Davis, 15 pressures, 12 hurries. They take Liam Eichenberg in the second round, 11 pressures, 10 hurries. This is a huge... And I appreciate that they took the Raiders to overtime. It was a valiant effort by Jacoby Brissett, especially the fourth down score using his legs and then the two-point conversion to get it there. Yeah. But you've got a backed into a corner Indianapolis team next, and then you got Tampa. And, man, you cannot be 1-4. And to me, that offensive line is going to have some serious challenges these next 2 weeks.
I think it profiles as something close to a must-win game.
Yes.
Miami against the Colts.
I would agree. And that is who we thought they were. All right, Dan, it's time for...
How much is a lectern cost? Can we get the budget cleared on that? I don't
know. Let's see. What does Thomas have here? Taking a shot at the old Zeuser with these power rankings stink. Simple, succinct, salient, Thomas.
That actually kind of hurt.
And up next... Thomas. We're going to get more of that, but we'll also share a spoonful of sugar with that medicine with a stud sporting a tank top. Play NFL Knockout, the free-to-play game presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Answer 15 questions about the Jaguars-Bengals game to win exclusive prizes, including a VIP package to this year's Super Bowl 56, right here where we sit in Los Angeles. Visit NFL.com/knockout. Before we get to all the negativity, dear friends of ours, some of the most talented folks in all of the sports media / entertainment business gave us a shout out. So we want to shout out their shout out.
That's how it works.
DanHanzus and Matt Money Smith are the power anchors.
DanHanzus.
Yeah, DanHanzus.
Like the god. Greek one. Depending, yes. It's on Hanzus?
It might be. I'm gonna continue to call him Hanzus.
We love that show. Matt Money Smith had some pit vipers on yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
Nice. What color?
Purple. Yeah, they were purple. They were purple. They were loud.
Yeah.
They were awesome. That's what you got to do when you're giving out power rankings, though, because you know everybody's going to judge you. You got to have your hater blockers on.
That's right. That's right, Pat. We love you. We love that show. Psst, psst. Next segment, you want to see them. Those hater blockers are coming. Psst, psst, psst. They're coming back.
You got to wait for it. And I love McAfee and his two buddies. If they need a fourth, I said this on the podcast. If you're going to Vegas, you're going to Topgolf, you're going to the casino, whatever. If you need a fourth, I'm here.
All right. You know what? You feeling good about yourself? Feeling good about yourself, Dan?
Sure.
All right, let's tear you down.
Let's
tear them down. What do? We build them up to tear them down.
Oh, it was a
That's
setup.
America.
It was a setup.
Because here's our man, Ken. At DanHanzus somehow justified putting a 1-2 team with arguably the worst defense in the league top 5 this morning, while 2 3-0 teams come in at 11-12. You get paid to do this?
I love that line.
Yeah.
That's only second behind "you deserve to be fired."
Right.
And like the most quoted line in this hater. So listen, the 11 and the 12 and 13 teams, the 2 undefeated teams are going to mess with people, but it's not the power standings. And yeah, if you're referring to the Ravens, I believe Ravens are fine.
No, I think he's talking about the Chiefs. They're at 6.
I think the Chiefs are fine too. I think we've established that the Chiefs are fine.
You're talking about me and Kenneth. Hey, simpatico. All right, next up,
money.
Christopher. Bro, rankings are whack. How do you have the Chargers higher than the Cowboys?
I get it. I get it.
Because I don't.
Well, no, obviously I don't agree with him because I think the Chargers are a better football team. But the Cowboys, they're playing above expectations. I think a lot of us thought the Cowboys were going to be a middling team, like hanging out around the 20s in power rankings and maybe win their division. I think they might be a step above that. I think that the Cowboys can be legitimately an 11-win team potentially now. I think the Chargers have a higher ceiling.
I just needed to do a little more digging. You know, I just got my first look-see, like the rest of you this morning on Dan's power rankings. So if I do a little more digging, I want to see where the Cowboys are at number 14 in regards to the NFC. That's when I'll
Are you okay
my
with 14?
judgment. I think so. I think I am.
Good.
But, you know, it was a dominant performance on Monday night.
Medina.
I like that Pat McAfee, I'll tell you that.
He's a good dude.
Up next, we're going to chuck our challenge flags at a pair of performances that better clean it up. Dan's going to take on the big town. I'll be speaking to this offensive genius that can't get his personnel right in the red zone. Next.
Me and you tanks next week in the studio.
Done. On the tank. All right, time to throw our challenge flags. Dan, we are taking on some things that we didn't like so much this week, and here they are.
You know what I like?
Pit vipes are back.
Venomous.
Where are you going?
Venomous. All right, I'll tell you where I'm going. We're going right back to the East Coast where I came from. The 2 New York teams, the Big Apple teams. Please don't make me put you 31-32 this week. So I'm going to throw the challenge flag. We're getting there. I got to put a little air under it.
It's getting close.
I'm giving you the challenge right here. Just improve, because where we are now, I can't remember in my whole life New York football being a worse place than it is right now. Uh-oh.
Where's my single? Here we go. Pit Vipers coming for you, Kyle Shanahan.
Let's see.
You're supposed to be this offensive genius, which you are. Hence the you being the trunk of the tree that has all of these branches that is delivering dominant offense across the NFL. Your running game is broke. It's been broke 2 weeks in a row. 2.7 yards per carry this week, 3.1 yards per carry last week.
How am I supposed to take this seriously?
I'll tell you how to take it seriously. There's an easy remedy to this, Shanahan, and it's Trey Lance. Where's that beautiful package we were seeing in the preseason with Trey Lance back there?
Yes, good point.
Running the ball in the red zone.
Give it to us.
You did it on the goal line. 1 carry, 1 touchdown. Let's get back to it. Get Trey Lance out there in the red zone.
You know what you look like? In the 80s when they would say, this is what the future looked like.
Right
That's
here.
what you are now.
This guy.
1986 future.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Power Rankings. And thanks, McAfee.